Hey YouTube, Ed here with Jack of all trades, and welcome to another video. So what we're doing today is we're going camping on a budget. I went onto Amazon with a goal of $500 or less to buy gear to go camping. And I'm not talking about some survivalist crap or anything like that where I'm buying a tarp and some twine and going out and cutting logs and all this kind of other stuff and doing survival things. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not what we're doing here today. What we're going to do today is we're going to use actual camping gear that was designed for camping, and we're going to go out and we're going to set up a campsite and we're going to go camping for the weekend, and we're going to have a good time doing it. So with that all being said, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Stay tuned. Let's go camping on a budget. And welcome back. So, like I said in the intro, we're going camping on a budget here. So, I set a limit of $500 worth for gear to buy, and that's what I'm going with. I'm going with $500 worth of gear that I bought on Amazon. I bought the basics. I bought a tent, an air mattress, a sleeping bag, cookware, some dishware so I can eat. Just the very basic things, and we'll talk about all that stuff when I get to the campsite and as I use it in the video. Where are we going? Let's talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to a piece of public ground out here known locally as the grasslands, and it is public ground and it's open to public activities such as hunting, fishing, biking, camping, hiking, all of that kind of stuff. So understand this is public ground and you are going to have to share this with other public. That's the way it works. But it's free. It doesn't cost you a doggone thing. It doesn't cost you a nickel to come out here and set up and go camping for the weekend, which is awesome. The other caveat to that is there are no services out here. This is not a designated campground. There's no water, there's no showers, there's no toilet, there's no electricities. There is nothing out here. If you need it, you need to bring it with you because it's not here. The other final caveat to this, and there's always things that you have to deal with, is this is public ground, but it is also leased to cattlemen as grazing ground. So they've got a whole bunch of areas out here sectioned off with fences, and cattlemen will lease a section for the summer. They'll turn their cows or their sheep loose in that area, and they'll graze them there for the summer. And then in the fall or the winter time, when it comes time, they'll herd them all up. They'll bring them back to the ranch, and they'll feed them over the winter in a fenced-in, penned-in area. So we very easily could go out here, pick a spot where we're going to go camping and end up having a herd of cows come through, which you just have to understand it and expect that because that's the kind of area we're going to. All right, enough gum flapping. Let's go ahead and let's get out here. Let's get my campsite set up and let's talk about some of the equipment that I bought, and I'll let you know what I think about it. Let's go camping for the weekend. So I've been out here for about an hour and a half now. I've obviously got the truck tent set up. So this is a tent made by a company called VTUTUS. I believe I paid about $180 for this tent, and it's obviously a pickup bed tent. I went with that just for the simple fact that if you end up in the rain or something like that, you don't have to worry about water getting into your tent. You don't have to worry about finding high ground. You can just park your truck wherever, set the tent up in the back of the truck, and you've got a good stable platform to sleep in. Now it's kind of windy here today, and you may or may not have seen in the time lapse, it was a bit of a struggle to set this thing up by yourself, especially in a wind. Now the instructions very clearly say you should set it up on the ground, have 2 people lift it up into the truck and put it in there, because it's not heavy, but it's large and it's awkward and it has a tendency to catch wind. But if you're persistent, like I am, you should have no problem setting this thing up. It went up fairly quickly. I suppose it took me about 45 minutes. First time, I had never set this up. I did not do a dry run in the driveway or anything like that. I just brought it out here, set it up, and that's the end of it. Hadn't even had it out of the package yet, which I would not recommend you do. You should probably do a dry run at home before you try setting one of these up, especially if you've never done it before. Now, I've set up literally hundreds of tents in my lifetime, and this really wasn't that big of a deal. The tent itself seems very roomy, and it seems like it's fairly well made. The Rainfly 2 was a bit of a struggle to put on, because you have to put it on after the tent is in the back of the pickup. And if you're a shorter person, getting the Rainfly on could be a challenge. You might have to have a fold-up step stool or something with you to get that done. Me being 6'3" and having long arms, it was a bit of a struggle, but I was able to get it done. The air mattress. So I'm blessed enough to have a pickup that has a power inverter in it. The air mattress that I got has got it's got a 110 pump built right into it. And boy, this thing pumped up fast. I was really surprised how quick it pumped up. I ran it off the inverter off my truck. It wasn't a problem. It didn't even hiccup. It just fired up and pumped up the air mattress in no time whatsoever. So this should make for some really comfortable sleeping tonight while we're out here tonight. But now the tent is up. I'm in a relatively sheltered area here. This should be pretty nice. So let's go ahead and let's get the rest of the campsite set up, and then we'll talk about some more equipment as we use it through the weekend. All right, so my camp is basically set up, and I'm pretty much good to go until it's time to eat something. But let's just talk real quickly about the gear that I brought out here. And first we'll talk about the things I bought at Amazon. Obviously I bought the tent, and I bought a sleeping bag and the air mattress from Amazon. Some other things I got from Amazon, and I'll link all this stuff in the description down below. We'll start at the front here. I've got a dish set. It's just plastic. You can buy dish sets in any quality you want. I just bought a very inexpensive plastic dish set. That way, if it gets ruined or whatever, I can just throw it away and get new ones. I don't recall the prices on most of this stuff because it's been a while since I bought it. But like I said, I'll link all this stuff in the description down below. And this whole thing didn't cost me any more than $500, which is the whole point. So I bought a dish set. I bought a 3-piece cast iron skillet set that was very inexpensive. They say it's pre-seasoned. They're pretty rough, and they're going to take some time for use. It would probably be a real good idea to take some steel wool or some light sandpaper and sand the bottoms of them just to smooth them out, because they're pretty rough. I can fully expect to see food stick to them for a while and things until they get kind of worn in. I bought a coffee pot. Now this is a campfire style perk type cowboy coffee pot, whatever you want to call it. I like percolator coffee, so I'll really enjoy that. I obviously bought the fire grate here, or the cooking grate, from Amazon. This light is actually for in the tent. It's a light and it's a fan, so it's a dual purpose. It's rechargeable via USB, so you don't have to buy batteries for it. It's got multiple power settings. And I bought this to hang on the inside of the fan to give me some air movement in there when I'm in there sleeping tonight, and it'll also give me some light. Really like the fact that it's USB chargeable. They give you a USB cord that was very inexpensive. Well worth it in my opinion. I'll enjoy using that tonight. I also bought a lantern. Now I didn't buy this at Amazon. I bought this at my local home center the other day when I was in there. I happened to be walking by buying mosquito repellent for this trip because without this wind, I think the mosquitoes would be pretty much eating me alive. But I did buy a battery-operated lantern. It runs on 4 D-cell batteries. It has 3 power settings, and it's actually quite bright, so it should provide some pretty good light in the campsite here. when I'm here sleeping, or when I'm here in the evenings and at night. The next thing is this cooktop. It's propane operated. It's just a flat griddle. It's not a grill like that over there. It's just a flat top. You have to have the flat top on it. I bought that because I really like eggs in the morning, and I am not good at cooking eggs in cast iron until they get really smoothed out. And there may be times when you come out here and you can't have a fire. There may be a burning ban on or something like that. You're gonna need some way to cook. Now, I went with a flat top griddle because I really enjoy cooking on flat top griddles. You could go with a grill. There's any number of ways that you could go. This is just the one I purchased. It's made by Royal Gourmet, I think it is. It's a brand I've never heard of, but there it is. I know it works. I did try it out. I tested it out at home, and it just uses these little 1-pound propane cylinders for fuel so that you can cook. Another thing I bought on Amazon was these levelers ramps, these truck leveler ramps. I bought those because I didn't know what kind of terrain I was going to be in when I got out here, and there's nothing worse than sleeping with your body at an angle in the truck. It's just absolutely awful. So I bought those levelers in the event that I might need to level out the wheels of the truck so that I can have a level sleeping surface. Turns out the site I'm on, it's not too bad. I can see there is a little bit of downward slope. I'll probably back the truck up on the levelers now that I've got my tent and everything set up. But that's why I bought those. Again, very inexpensive and a good way to level out your truck. Now, that being said, you don't necessarily have to get a truck camper or a truck tent either. You can get a tent that you just put on the ground. It's perfectly acceptable. Not everybody's got a pickup truck. Maybe you just have the family wagon or SUV or whatever. Just get a regular old tent. Everything I brought out here fit in 3 totes. And of course the wooden stuff I had to bring in loose, and I brought my trailer because I brought my ATV with. But everything I brought here for the most part fit in 3 totes. And that would be the other thing I would recommend you get is 2, 3, 4 of these totes to store your camping gear in so they don't get inundated with mice or chewed up or anything like that. And if it does rain, and if you're a first-time camper, please make sure that you dry out all your equipment before you put it up for storage, or else it'll mold, it'll mildew, and it'll actually rot, and it won't be any good when you go to use it again. Another thing that I brought out here, and this is something that wasn't an Amazon purchase, but I actually went to my local Goodwill and I bought some just basic cooking utensils. I bought a metal spatula, I bought a plastic spatula for cooking with. The metal one obviously is so I can use my cast iron. I bought a ladle so I can scoop beans or whatever I might be cooking at that point. And then I picked up actually a used knife. I just needed a knife for the campsite for cooking. It's actually a Chicago cutlery, so it's not a bad knife, and it came to a nice edge and it got really good and sharp. So very, very pleased with that. I think I paid $4 or $5 for those utensils at my Goodwill. So you can get away pretty inexpensively. Other than food, which I have in my cooler, and we talked about the cooler a little bit already, but you're gonna need a cooler. I've got coolers coming out of my ears, so I didn't feel the need to go buy a new one. So you're gonna need a cooler for your perishable food. The rest of the food I just brought in a box. I picked up a few bundles of firewood, so I had firewood because I didn't know what firewood availability was gonna be like out here. So all these things are things that you have to consider. If you do get a truck camper, you'll notice that I did bring a step box to step up on so that I can get into the back of the truck easier at night when it's time to go to bed, and I can get out easier in the morning when it's time to get up. That's quite high. Now, even for me at 6'3", it's hard for me to get in and out of there, and that step box really made a huge difference on the ability of me to get in and out of the tent in the back of the pickup. Little tip for you: when you set up your fire pit, go ahead and look for a large rock with one side that is flat, and then bury it into the edge of your fire pit and have it stick out just a little bit into the fire pit. And that is a great place to set your coffee pot. That rock will actually get quite warm, actually hot enough to boil the coffee pot if you get the fire close enough, and it'll keep your coffee pot warm for a very, very long time, as that rock will continue to hold heat for several hours. All right, folks, it's time for supper. I've got some venison backstraps here. I've got the campfire getting itself reduced down to coals right now. So what I've got is obviously a piece of tin foil here. I'm going to put these back straps on here, just like so. That pan out of the way. Go into the cooler. Butter, real butter. Not margarine, butter. Put that in that pan. So we got our butter and whatever you like for seasoning. I like the CJ's. These are some local boys here from North Dakota. They make this stuff. I put it on everything. Eggs and meat and chicken and you name it. Love it on baby back ribs for a dry rub. I just love this seasoning for pretty much anything. But you use whatever you want. Okay, now we'll put this butter on here. The butter is the key. Butter is absolutely key with venison, because venison is so lean that if you don't have butter, it'll just get dry. And I stole a can of mushrooms out of my wife's food pantry. Don't tell her. Put some mushrooms on there. Screw it. Just put them all on there. The hell with it. No sense in getting clean about that. And then let's get all these mushrooms on here. And then we just take and wrap it up with the tin foil, preferably leaving the flies out. Okay, so we got a tin foil envelope there. Now we're going to take yet another piece of tin foil. And basically, we're double wrapping this thing. You don't want any of that moisture to get out as a result of steam. So make sure you put a good double layer on. Typically, I use heavy duty tin foil, but we didn't have any, so I'm working with what I got here. I've got it on. These coals are reduced right down, and I'm about 6 inches, maybe 8 inches from the bed of coals to the meat. Now we're gonna have to flip this over, and actually what I'm gonna do is take another cast iron skillet and just put it over the top like that to help trap in some of the heat. In fact, let's do this backwards. Let's put the butter in there, and I'll use that cast iron skillet to trap in some of the heat. Act it more like an oven. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make my hash browns in that pan as soon as that butter melts off. And we'll make hash browns there. Got some Bush's original baked beans. Go ahead and take that label off. And we are cooking. I'd say we're cooking with gas, but we're really not. We're cooking with wood. All right, here we go. Let's give it a try. Oh, yeah, that doesn't suck at all. Mm. Well, we're not going to complain about that. Eating like kings out in the woods. So I'm going to take the camera off. I'm going to eat my supper. And we'll bring you guys back when we have a campfire. Well, good morning. It's 5:30 in the morning. The birds all got up this morning, so therefore so did I. So last night, boy, what a night. I slept really good. Uh, the tent worked out really well, although there was no rain or anything, and it was really uneventful last night. Uh, the air mattress works out pretty good. The only thing I don't like about the mattress is that it 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 doesn't deflate, but the PVC material that they make the air mattress out of stretches when you're sleeping on it. And when you've got 265 pounds of guy on there, it does, it's like I said, it's not deflating, but the material stretches out and it loses some of its firmness. In fact, they even have a label on here that says the PVC material will stretch and that this is normal, and that to achieve the desired firmness you're supposed to just go ahead and pump it up again. And that's all fine and well and good, but I don't like that. I noticed about halfway through the night last night it started to get pretty soft and pretty squishy, but I slept fine. But I just don't like the fact that the air mattress loses its firmness like that. The sleeping bag I bought, the sleeping bag was fine, but it is not for a big man. I found I had a hard time zipping it up last night because my shoulders are too broad, and I couldn't get the zipper all the way up. But I really didn't need it. I just need a bigger sleeping bag. I need a big man sleeping bag. So lesson learned. We'll go ahead and take care of that. Otherwise, it was fine. The little fan light combination, that actually works really, really well. It's got 3 power settings for the fan and for the light. So that works really good. I had it going. It was a little warm in there last night when I initially crawled in, but that works really, really well. So all in all, it was a pleasant night to sleep. Now, like I said, we're up in the morning. with the birds. I heard some pheasants are cawing in the background, and I can hear the cows mooing. It must be breakfast time. But yeah, it was a real pleasant night. Now we're going to go ahead and get that fire stoked back up, get some coffee going, and then I got to make some brekkie. We're going to stay out here for a little while, and we're going to let the sun break a little bit and dry this tent off before we take it down. There's a pretty fair amount of dew on the ground this morning, so I don't want to fold it up and put it away wet just so I have to take it back apart when I get home and dry it out. So let's get some coffee and some breakfast made and enjoy the morning, and then we'll pack up and head in. Well, certainly not my best breakfast attempt ever. That griddle certainly does have hot spots, and it gets really, really hot, and it gets really hot really fast. So be aware, and it is not non-stick. I thought the surface looked like it was non-stick, and I was wrong. So you're going to need to bring some cooking oil or some PAM non-stick spray or something of that effect to make sure that it's non-stick. Luckily enough, I like my bacon overdone. I hate wiggly bacon with a passion. And we can get this done. Well, the sun is most definitely up. My belly is full. We got our cup of coffee. Let's go over the weekend just a little bit. Tent. Let's talk about the tent. I like the tent well enough. The concept that it's in the back of a truck was not a problem, and I enjoyed that thoroughly. Was not a huge fan of the way the air mattress deflates. It's actually probably a little too thick. I think a memory foam mattress, camping mattress, might be a little better. However, it's harder to pack, but if you're using a vehicle, it doesn't really much matter. It was comfortable enough. It pumped up easy enough. It was easy to use, but I don't like the fact that it stretched out and it lost firmness over the course of the night. Sleeping bag was fine. It's just not a big man sleeping bag. And since I'm a big man, I should have probably bought a big man sleeping bag, but it did serve the purpose. Lesson learned. So if you're out there and you're looking at buying the sleeping bag I post in the description down below, I wouldn't. The cookware, the cast iron worked just fine. The cooking grate for the campfire worked without issue. The griddle, the propane griddle, it works. It almost works too good. Like I said, there are definite hot spots. You got to turn it down. Now, what I did notice is that when I turned it down to low, it actually went out. It wasn't enough gas flow to operate on low. So you kind of have to look at the flame. You can't really look at the knob. At least on mine, that's the way it is. I was cooking on the top side of medium. Just started off on high to get it hot, and then I turned it down to medium, and it was still way too hot. Ended up burning my bacon, burned my hash browns, but as you can see, I ate them. It is not a non-stick surface. I fried my eggs in bacon grease so that they didn't stick, which was fine. You can get that done. Just understand it is not a no stick. Not the best propane griddle I've used, but at the same time, it's also not the most expensive one. So I guess a little bit to be expected. I'm not totally happy with it, but at the same time, it did do the job. I just need to learn how to use it. You might need to do a little practice at home with it before you take it out camping. The coffee pot works without flaw. I love percolator coffee. Just absolutely love it. What else? The little plastic dishes, they served a purpose. I'm not a big fan of using plastic dishes. It's kind of like using paper plates, but they are better than paper plates, and they are just plastic. I think if I was to do it over again, I would get the metal ones with the porcelain coating like my coffee pot is. They just seem like they're a little more substantial plate. Not a real big fan of the plastic forks and spoons, so I think I'll trade those out or swap those out. Just because it's a personal preference, for no other reason. They did function fine. They did exactly what they were supposed to. It got food from the plate to my mouth, which was fine. The little lantern that I bought worked really, really well. The little lantern for inside the tent that's got a fan built into it worked really, really well. No problems there. Basically, everything I bought worked as it should. Just the griddle would be the only thing that I'm not really super tickled about as far as functionality, because it does have very definite hot spots. The heat distribution on the griddle portion isn't great. Just you'll have to play with it and practice with it and understand it before you take it out camping with it. Everything I did here was cold right out of the box. I did no testing at home. I did light the griddle at home just to make sure it would light and that everything was working properly. But I didn't use it or practice with it. I didn't do a dry run with the tent. I came out here totally cold without trying any of this stuff out, which I would not recommend that you do. But all in all, it was a good weekend. Everything worked. I'm very happy about it, and I will be doing it again. Now, the point of this video was to show you that you can go out and you can camp and enjoy a weekend out away from the city for not a lot of money. $500 worth of gear that you can use over and over and over and over and over again. Then all you have to do is come up with firewood and groceries. You'll obviously need groceries. So, and a cooler. That was the other thing I forgot, was a cooler. You will need a cooler. I always pack a little shovel with, just in case I do one of these public ground camping trips like this. If you go to a campground, oftentimes they have fire pits already in place, so you don't have to dig a fire pit. But it is what it is. At any rate, I hope you found this information useful. I hope you found the video a little entertaining. I'm sorry it's probably going to be pretty long here by the time I get done with all the editing. But I didn't want to miss anything, and I wanted to show you what the weekend was like. So hopefully you stuck with me through to the end. If you did stick with me through to the end and you're liking what you see here, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit me with those comments. I really do appreciate the comments, and it really does help the channel out in the long run. With that, this is Ed from Jack of All Trades. As always, thanks to my longtime subscribers. Thanks to all my viewers. Thanks to everybody who watched this video. And like always, we will see you on the next video.